Very good afternoon. Hope my voice is audible. There is some issue in my throat. Let me try to manage. All of a sudden, I got from yesterday. To start with, I don't want you to count any F. I don't want to say hi and hello. Just two things. Maybe you can join. Just put two fingers on your forehead. Just circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anti-clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then put your finger on your ear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Center 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Nobody asked why I. Okay. There is a concept called brain gym. Okay. Those who could Google, just Google. It is invented by Paul Dennison. He is the person who invented, and I just invoked both sides of your brain, and then I increased your listening. These are all the two exercises which we did now. Coming back to the presentation, I have been in this field. I'm Balasubramanian. I've been in this quality field or in the IT field for around almost touching 30 years. Half of it is on process side. So I have to contradict Anand Rao's statement that non-performers have been moved, but I have been moved from developer and then sales, support, finally into process and quality, and I have been doing this. So there are cases like me. Okay. Before moving on to the slide, I have a good news for Nitin. I have only 5 slides. I'll complete on time. Okay. With this, I think most of you are awake. Only thing, I'm a bit upset. I love jalebi. I couldn't be able to eat more because my throat is not cooperating me. And then I have this session, so I have to be awake. Most of the concept, what I'm going to talk, with respect to the SME and then the challenge, is almost covered by all. Say for example, if I talk about leadership commitment, is already, we have seen Papa John's commitment, how he committed, even the count is committed, the leadership is committing. So I can't blame any more on that line. So, but whatever I have, let me share and let me run through it. But I'll see, I thought of sharing with you the success story of mine, because I have been working with most of the SMEs in a friendly manner as well as my customer, and predominantly on the Europe side. So maybe I'll share some of the success stories, and then let me start the PPT because this is our culture, right? So we need to. Why I have chosen this SME, this particular topic on, because we want this entire today's topic or the discussion is on quality culture. We need to embrace the quality culture and then we need to sustain. Those are totally different. I don't know how Dr. Bhatia got these two components into one area, because definitely, particularly for a SME, integrating these two itself is a challenge. First, I need to embrace quality, then I need to convert that into a culture, and then I need to sustain it. Particularly for SME, definitely it is not going to be that much easy. That's what I just wanted to stress. I chosen this particular SME because I have been on this particular domain, that is, I've been supporting SMEs. And the main thing is, Dr. Bhatia said he has been doing this activity for 30 plus years, and a lot of prime ministers have been recognizing his effort, but yet to get from India. The same case in SMEs too. Very recently, the government they started focusing on SMEs. Why? Because these are all the contributions. Hope most of the items what I've listed, you all well aware of what is the contribution by the SMEs. And the recent one which I can easily quote is Make in India. Umpteen number of concept notes have been flown on the market by the SMEs Um, Probably, those who are working with CAI, they might have seen those concept notes and how they transferred. Earlier days, people are coming on the CAI conference is something like, they'll talk about their business, network, and then go off. But nowadays, this one coin about Make in India, how many SMEs, maybe the ratio of increase in the SMEs, and how much presentation has been given on the CAI forum, it made the CAI to create a separate forum for SME to address the concept notes. Okay, so that kind of an impact this particular SMEs are getting created. So that is why I just wanted to cover the challenges of SMEs in embracing the quality and then sustain it. Let me come to it. Yeah. To start with, there are assessors here, like who assess companies and then they certify. Definitely this is going to be a Herculean task. The first one, compliance versus culture. See, when Karma came here, I think he came three times, I believe, to the stage. Every time he bowed to the stage and on the audience and then came in. Is it a compliance or a culture? Obviously, it is a culture, right? So when we have a process in that level, then there is no thought of anything about the compliance part. Obviously, it will become a standard down the line, even if it is not there in the standard. So the major challenge of SMEs is that they need to identify what are their culture and how they can map it to the compliance part. Most of the SMEs are run towards the certifications because it requires for the business. Unless otherwise you have an information security, I don't give any project to you. Unless otherwise you comply to GDPR all of a sudden. Very recently, most of the IT companies, red flag has been raised on GDPR, right? Before that also the data privacy standard was there, but nobody cared about it. When the GDPR process comes in, all of a sudden, hey, there is a panic button. Everywhere, everybody talks about it. I don't know whether I can connect to my client VPN or not. That level of activities have been happened. So in that sense, for an SME, that is going to be a really challenge because every day the complaints get changed because it driven by the requirement of the customer, right? And obviously the limited resource, most of you have already talked about attrition and other stuff. We don't know whether to raise this question with this particular manager or not. If I raise this question, he may leave the organization. That kind of a situation is here in SME, right? So limited resources. And I have one more SME. This has been touched by Anand, Raj. I think subject matter experts. Most of the SMEs doesn't have liberty to hire a subject matter expert even at the level of a consultant. Because I've heard a question about NPS. One of my customer had a business coach. That company is an Indian company. They have been in this field for the past 8 years and they are making somewhere around consistent revenue, it's a revenue, somewhere around 15 to 20 crores, right? And the headcount is somewhere around 150. But when the subject matter expert, the business coach comes in, all of a sudden he started talking about NPS. Okay? And finally he arrived at, hey, you don't have anything, nothing there. All are distractors. He just, Balu, this is what I had, what I need to do with this. Leave alone that. That is for a different purpose. But for you, you think of what is your strength and what is your weakness. Work on your weakness, improve your strength, definitely you can increase the NPS obviously, right? It all should come from within rather than getting assessed by all these stuffs. I feel the compliance part will obviously comes in once we adapt to a culture. And then the rest part is already self-explanatory. There is no need for me to talk about those challenges. But one part which I wanted to stress here is that the agility versus sustenance, because it related to our topic. The agility, SMEs every day, it is a new day for them, right? Unless otherwise they are agile, they will not be in that domain itself. So when this agility becomes their DNA, I think some of medical field people are there. If it becomes a DNA for them, obviously they used to this kind of a changes, right? And there is no Anand to blame, like there is a non-performer coming to quality or a non-performer coming to a CEO, something like that. Definitely the sustenance will become, because if every day someone has to wear the hat and do the activity. That is what is SME. I can't go for search for a quality consultant. I can't go for a sales consultant. On the call, if the client comes with a requirement, where I gone for a process consulting, if the customer asking for a requirement, I need to address that. At least buy some time, get an expert, talk to the customer, and then get converted. That is what is happening. So on an SME, this particular agility is much required, and I'm putting that in the challenge part. And finally, the leadership support. I already told you I don't want to comment this because I have very good leaders here. Moving on to the next part, I wanted to cover how these can be met, that is sustaining the quality culture. First part, we need people like Tapan on Papa John's kind of a leadership, where we can have that commitment. It has to drive from there. By saying it, very simple, but think the same thing from an SME segment. He has to respond to the queries and issues. A company like L&T is having 20%, everybody is spending their time on their 20% issue, where 80% is their plus. They are concentrating only on 20%. Think of 80% issue which falls under the SME segment. Most of the customers are in that level. Every day there will be a challenge, and definitely we need commitment. Otherwise, we cannot take even a process. I am not at all talking about the culture. I am talking about the process itself. We can't do any process on that. Most of the time we will be firefighting. That's all. So the next part, resource involvement and empowerment. See, we need to take each and every person into the process, whatever we follow. If you say, hey, this is what your process, you have to do this, they will not do. Hey, what you are doing, this is my problem. What I can do for this, convert that as your process. At an organizational level, if you convert that, then definitely sustenance will not be a problem for you. Go to a process or any project which is required for the project. What can be practiced, convert that as a process. And that is where quality people like us have to help the organization to conform to the compliance also, so that it will be easy for you to transform your concern into a certifiable, international standard compliance companies. Training and measurable development. Already, Koman ma'am has spoken about the improvement and how they have improved. Like here, for SME, pulling one person for a training. Hey, I am going to do a risk management training. Please attend this for a 30-minute in a Zoom call. And nowadays, we all have a hybrid culture, right? Work from home and other stuff. They will switch on the Zoom, switch off the camera, and then move away, right? In that level, this is what is happening. I'm not exaggerating. This is what is happening. In that level, if I want to keep on training or provide training to all those resources, by saying it will be very easy, but practice, definitely it is going to be a challenge. And we need to have a measured development. Measured development in the sense, is it on the revenue which we are making, but it is related to sustain. We need to provide, empower the whoever attends, even though towards the lunch, the session dais has been given to Komalji. Still, he wanted to stress what are those points. There are some challenges, but still, the key learnings she transferred, right? Similarly, even nobody is listened, we try to give our inputs as part of training, whichever is required for the particular organization. Down the line, even at that time, it may not come to their mind, but down the line, it will definitely reach there when there is an issue. So, I'll move on to the other part, like awards and rewards is already spoken by the people, like the stalwarts who are here, and the effective use of process tools. I thought of talking about ChatGPT, which already has been covered by Nehaji. So, I'll move on to the success story of mine. Half of it is already covered, but anyway, I'll just stress on what we did. Here, most of the industry is talking about KPIs and KPAs and KPIs. I have a slight tweak on this for SME. It is nothing but process areas. Rather than performance index and other stuff, process areas and process indicators. Take that and then start measuring it. And the next part is the most important thing, next two part, which made me to success in around somewhere around 15 companies, out of which 11 has already shown some cultural change and sustaining it for the past 7 years. A theme-based approach towards this KPA and KPIs. They will not work on all the components, even though they have a practice, they have a standardization, and they have certification and all. They will take only two KPAs and KPIs. They will start measuring, and then they are trying to improve their process and try to adapt as a culture once that KPA has been very successful in that particular organization or not. Okay, that is the next part, and the challenge of accepting that as a culture is getting rid of through when I have a component called ease of compliance. Hey, I am having this risk management as a one KPI, and there is a huge issue for a person because already he is facing day-to-day issue, right? I don't have any time like what the new standard 2015 says. You have to be proactive in identifying your threats, put your mitigation plan. I don't have time. I need to respond to already the fire is running. I need to go with an extinguisher, right? So in that sense, if you take this, I need to check with that particular project whether these KPIs are valued enough, is going to add value to your activity, daily activity or not. If that is there, then we can easily convert that as a culture and sustenance will be there. And moving on to the awards and rewards, already Komalji has spoken about how to award and reward. But what we did is not only the high performers, there are performers who score 0 in the theme period, like say for example, a quarterly I have taken a theme. At the first level of evaluation, they scored score 0, and within that theme period, 3 months, they would have scored some 6 to 7, not even 10. No, out of 10 rating if I gave, even at the level of 6, we will reward them because that is a huge transformation with respect to that particular project on the given KPI. He has started contributing to the company's growth and its culture, and obviously the sustenance will fall. And once these success story, we need to celebrate, even if it is a minor change, we need to celebrate that milestone at an organization level, then definitely this will easily become a culture for across the organization, irrespective of whatever the nature of business or whatever the practices they are doing it. So with that, I think I have covered mine. Floor is yours for questions. If Nitinji allows me to address questions. Thank you.